How do you know who you are? How do you know what your self is? Did you ever think about this? If you look, you'll notice that the only way that you can know who you are traditionally is through memory and through thinking. As in, okay, who am I? Let's see, my name's Co. I was born in New York. I live at such and such place. I went to this school. These are my possessions. These are my things. These are my friends, da 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 da, and so on and so forth. I like these shows. I hold these political affiliations and these religious beliefs, or whatever it is. Those are all the things that point to the person that you are, the individual. But there's a presence of awareness that exists prior to thought and prior to memory. This pure and simple, awake consciousness. Now, we can know this directly, not as a theory, but as an actual fact, because if you look, it's already there when you go to look for it. And further, if it weren't there, then how would you know what you're thinking? Where would your memories appear if it wasn't for some presence of awareness which was already present prior to the thought? So the thoughts come after the fact, you see? The thoughts are not essential, so they can't be essentially you. So if all that we know about ourselves is coming in the form of some thought or some memory, but as we've just stated, those thoughts and memories can't actually essentially be what you are because they exist after the fact, then what are you? Did you ever think about this? Take a look, because it's very important. Otherwise, we're just wandering through this life thinking that we are a particular person, thinking that we are this individual self we take ourselves to be with this name and this form and this body and all that, but actually missing the mark, not really ever truly sensing and perceiving directly what it is that we are that's beyond this name and this form. And again, if you want to know who you are, you want to know the truth about who you are, what you are, and perhaps even what the purpose of this life is, and it seems pretty obvious that having direct contact and experience with this true self would be an essential part of knowing who you are and what you are. But if you never take the time to look, then at best, this will just be a theory, something you heard, which is, again, just another memory or just another thought. Again, not really actually who you are, not the real, not the truth. So just take a look. Take a look again, right now, right here. What is it that exists prior to your next thought? What is it that hears the words that I'm saying, but isn't a thought, but a presence, a knowingness? Are you able to perceive it? It takes time, it takes care, it takes a particular interest, desire, we could say, to see the truth in order for this to take place. It doesn't usually just come about spontaneously, although it can. But it can definitely be perceived and known for someone who wants to know it. So again, if all that we think we are not, and if the person that we think we are, we actually aren't, but this is just a product of thought, and what we actually are is this awareness, the most essential aspect of who and what we are is the awareness which perceives all of the sensory objects in our manifest reality, right, in the world, the trees, the bricks, the cars, the houses, all the things, as well as the imperceptible, subtle objects of consciousness, such as our thoughts, our feelings, and our memories. All those being objects that appear within our consciousness. Well, what is this consciousness that is not a thought, that is not a thing, that is not an object, but is the ultimate subject? Some have called it the unknown knower. But even that points to some sort of an object, but it's more a knowingness, an awareness, a consciousness. Can't really be defined in the way that we usually define things because it can't be measured. It's limitless. It's infinite. It's always present, never absent. In fact, this is also something we can know because should you ever go and look for it, it's always right here. It's always right now. Whereas thoughts come and go, objects come and go, experiences come and go, things come and go, but the awareness that you are, which perceives them all, is always here now whenever you check. Quite interesting. But often overlooked, not known, not perceived. And so we mistake ourselves to be an individual, a thing basically. And by believing ourselves to be that thing, it obscures the reality of that which we are. So I invite you to take a look, become interested in what you actually are, because it's quite profound. It's quite profound on so many levels, because if everything that I thought about myself and thought to be myself is actually not who and what I am, then, well, dang, what the hell am I? And if what I am is actually this non-thing, this easily overlooked presence of awareness, which is always here, always now, yet has no particular shape, size, or form, then who is it that makes the choices that this body-mind makes? Who is it that does the thinking? Who is it that believes the things that I appear to believe? Because if that's not what I am, then what is it that's choosing? And if it is not me, not the real self which is choosing, but the real self is observing, then this is a great potential freedom. Because we all feel like we've made mistakes, we've misunderstood things and made choices that led us to experience pain and suffering, and oftentimes we feel guilty and regret. We have hopes and dreams, but we fear we might not achieve those things. And what if all of that was just an appearance and not actually the real? And what if you were to wake up? What if I were to wake up and suddenly see and know that all of that is not what I am, and that all that regret, all that fear, all that worry and anxiety are absolutely unnecessary. That person that they seemed to point to isn't really who I am, but that is just the apparent individual that I appear to be. But that the true self is only and ever just witnessing it all, just observing, choicelessly observing. And that was the only thing that I could do my only responsibility, and impossible to get wrong, impossible to shirk that responsibility, impossible to fuck it up in any way. See, as long as I'm identified as the individual, I can fuck things up. Yes, and I can feel guilty, and I can feel fear, remorse, regret, worry, anxiety. And as long as you are the person, that is exactly what you will feel as well. You will experience those hopes and dreams as belonging to yourself. You will experience the past as being that which accumulated to bring you into the place and state of being that you currently are. You will have a past, a present, a future, a beginning and an ending, a birth and a death. That will be your experience. Very limited, though. However, this other way of seeing, of perceiving, of knowing, of identifying with what we could call the real self would lead you to an entirely new freedom and experience. Unborn, therefore beyond death. Unmanifest, therefore not subject to time or limitation. No need for anything, because actually, if you look, think about it. If what you are is that in which, that presence of awareness, that consciousness in which all forms, all experiences arise, have their day in the sun, and then dissolve, and if that's what you truly are, then you are limitless. Then you are not dependent upon anything for anything. In actuality, what you are is the source of all experience, completely free and totally independent. And if that were the case, how would that change your experience? To be absolutely free of anxiety, free of worry, free of the notion of birth and death, free of all sense of limitation. If that were possible, and if that were actually the reality, well, that would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? So, just a few thoughts for your examination, if you choose. But there's a potential for great freedom here. And if there is a potential for great freedom, and that freedom is your birthright, we could say, because it is what you are, then it bears considering. It bears investigation, I think. So again, I encourage and invite you to do so. And by all means, please share what it is that you find. Share your experience. Leave a comment below, reach out, subscribe, like, all those kinds of things. I'd love to stay in touch. I'm gonna keep making these videos. I'm gonna keep expressing my own experience, and I'm gonna keep contemplating this experience, this wild and wonderful experience that we call life. And I have no idea why. As they say, it is what it is. Not everyone will be interested in these things, not in this life anyway. But I find it incredibly fascinating and liberating. Because if I am the source of all and not dependent on anything, that means I can truly let go and release any notion that there is anything that I need or depend upon for my own infinite happiness and freedom. All right, I guess that's all for this one. Thanks for watching. Much love, and I will see you. I'll see you again. Be well.